This is a caffeinated risk espresso shot featuring Dave Tyson.
One thing that really struck me at the end of your book, I think it's the second last chapter, you talked about the unbundling the value chain to figure out exactly where security fits. I thought it was interesting. It was a very interesting exercise. I think the first thing is it's important for the people running the security services to understand where they actually do and don't add value, because I think they likely benefit from that look in the mirror. But assuming they figure that out, how do you go about socializing that, capturing it, and then sharing it so that your customers essentially actually understand what you're doing for them?
Yeah, I mean, well, when Porter wrote The Value Chain when he was at Harvard, one of the things that he basically said was, look, you gotta measure each step of the way where that value is being created in the company, because that's where the money is, right? Well, and the way I looked at it was, okay, so I'm a guy doing on security patrol. I'm in the loading bay, and somebody's loading stuff onto a truck, and everything that falls off that truck is taking value away from the company, right? And so, in one organization I worked, they had 50,000 packages going missing a year.
Oh, that hurts.
Right? They were just building it into the cost structure, which makes them less competitive, and blah blah blah. But so the point is that when you get the security team engaged in this idea that, hey, you can help create value by stopping, let's call it 40 or 50,000 things from going missing by getting into supply chain and understanding logistics and understanding what the cameras are actually supposed to detect. And maybe, by the way, that license plate of that truck or the background on that driver need to be considered. Now, on top of that, when you see, as a simple example, when your trucks are getting hit running down the road, back in the 90s, the game was roll up beside the van that's going from Best Buy or whatever electronics store, and they were literally, reading, the devices, the TVs and stuff that are inside the trailer while it's going down the highway. Now they know, I got to get this truck pulled over so we can rob it, right? And because they're reading the tags on there, because they're not secure. Now, you could have chosen it. So now you're into the business for the conversation. Let's choose some secure tags, because the industry decided to go with cheap ones, right, when they set the standard. But, so I think that, the whole idea of what Porter was trying to say, what I did was adapt it for security by saying, it's not just figuring out where the value is, but does your program save or reduce that value leakage?
And then how do you actually get that across? Would you then figure that out in a slide deck or something, and then book a meeting with the head of supply chain and say, this is what I'm doing for you?
Well, so I think I'll go back to the power company example, because I think that's a really great way to illustrate it. Our cyber intel program detected a threat actor who was trying to sell the first SCADA hack kit. And so the way hackers work, they put them out on a bulletin board. Here's some code samples, and he wanted $50,000 or something for the thing. Now, nobody had done this before. And so through our intermediary, our intel company, we went and engaged with those guys, got code samples, turned out to be Siemens equipment. And we went and ran it against our code base, and we protected everything before it had even been monetized, right? Before, and so we were protected. So now 16 other people within the next few weeks were out there trying to monetize those hack kits, because God hates a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so when I went in and sat down with the SVP of that division and said, by the way, here's what we did, you're safe, not to worry. And the guy was like, huh? Right. And next thing you know, when I go looking for, his support on something, I had it.
Yeah.
Right. Because last thing he wants is his nuke plant lighting up because because you show them the Aurora video and you see some generator overwhelming, right, from a cyber attack. And so, which he had obviously seen. So, he said, hey, oh, by the way, didn't cost you anything. You're protected. And now you're ahead of everybody else in the business.
I like that. And that's part of what I think we all need to take more lessons from is this idea of when you interact with executives and you're able to assist them or help them or help them move their objectives for the business, they remember that, right? Absolutely every executive that I've ever dealt with over the years, if you were able to help them out, reduce some of the friction between security and the business or help them get to their goals or objectives, they remember that along the way. And I think we keep forgetting that lesson is that we can't, as security professionals, we can't do this by ourselves. Like we're here to help the business, right?
I was doing a temporary CISO gig for about 7 or 8 months a couple of years back, and the business. It was clear to me that this business, they were a great company, but number 3, number 4 in the world. They want to grow. Like, well, the first thing you need to do is lock down your security and then market the crap out of that. That you're protecting your customers' data better than anybody else in the game. And guess what? They did. And we created a business security program, and then they started marketing. And guess what? They went up to number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the competition got wind of it and started doing it themselves. So the point is, when you can impact the business, mother of God, you've got to have a go at it at least.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might as well just go back to rattling doors and checking locks.